Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk. I'm Heidi Smith. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based in the United Kingdom, right in the heart of the country. And today I'm creating with Sweet as a Peach Sweet. So that's the Sweet as a Peach stamp set with its lovely images and sentiments. The peaches dies that coordinate by cutting out both the images that you've got in and some extra accent pieces as well, flowers and a little sentiment bar, and with some of the lovely designer series paper that's in there as well, which has got peach and floral images on the front, and then sort of more generic images on the back. So some lovely flowers, lovely colours in here as well. You've as well as the peach colours, you've got the lovely balmy blue and pear pizzazz, but within the peach you've got calypso coral, petal pink. We've got pale papaya in there, one of the ink colours, some mango melody as well to add some richness to it. As I say, you can see all of those really on that one in particular. And then on the reverse, you've got, say, pear pizzazz through to kind of old olive. And there's a bit of early espresso in there on some of them as well, in terms of the branches, I think on this one, for example, and on this one. So that's the paper. Now, this is really quick, easy project, and it's one of my Ferrero projects. So great fun to make, little table gift, just a little extra to go with the present maybe, and it's just a little double Ferrero box. But you can see I've added the branches on the back here. I kind of thought it looked a little bit, well, hopefully I think it looks a bit like a bit of a planter, so like a plant pot with the sort of peaches growing out of it. I wish I could grow peaches in this country. I did try once, but hey, it wasn't successful. Anyway, doesn't use very much in the way of supplies, which is nice if you've got to make lots of them. I'll work in centimetres. I'll give you the inches as I remember as I go through, but if I forget, they'll be written on my blog as well. So you need to start off with a piece of card that is 14 by 14 centimetres, 5.5 by 5.5. And on the one side, you're going to score at 3.5 and at 7, yes, look at the right instructions, 3.5 and 7. Turn it just once through 90 degrees and you're going to score at 3.5 and 10.5. So in inches, the first side is 1 3/8 and 2 3/4, and on the second side it's 1 3/8 and 4 1/8. You are then going to need some layers as well. So you're going to need a piece that's a 3.3 by 6.8, so 1 1/4 by 2 5/8. Two pieces that are 3.3 by 3.3, 1 1/4 by 1 1/4, and then the DSP. You want a piece that is 3 by 6.5, 1 1/8 by 2.5, and two pieces that are 3 by 3 centimetres. Okay, so we're going to do some stamping. Now, if we were using the Peachy stamp set, it's a distinctive stamp set, so it is photopolymer. So you want to make sure that you're using your Stampin' Pierce mat to get the best out of those images. So I'm going to want to stamp my peach and 2 lots of the peaches and 2 lots of the branches. So branches are really the straightforward one with the leaves. I'm just using Pear Pizzazz ink, and I'm just going to stamp those on a piece that's about 7.5 by about 15, not even that much in length. So 2 of those will fit on there, and then just add your die with a little bit of tape. Pop that through through your die cutting machine. I'm using my mini cut and emboss, and get a couple and cut 2 of those out. One thing I would say, just a little tip, when you're working with some of these bigger stamps, if you're finding it's not lining up when you put your die on top, then try re-adding your stamp set, your stamp to your block. And with photopolymer, I do it this way. Rather than adding it on, because that stretches it, I literally pick it up and plop it onto my desk, and then put the block onto it. That way you know it's in its original shape and it's not distorted at all. So you've then got 2 of your branches. I've got here. So now we want to do our peaches. So with the peaches, there's a couple of things I'm going to do. I'm going to do the triple peaches, and I'm also going to do the big peach, and I'm going to add a bit of extra colour to them. So what I think I'm going to do here, the peach, I'm going to go for a much deeper peach. So this one is pale papaya with a bit of calypso coral. So I think I'm going to go for a much deeper kind of peach because I'm using the calypso coral cardstock, and I'm actually going to have it sort of almost more like a nectarine with some yellow tones in it. So I'm going to try it on a scrap of paper first. So I'm going to add my calypso coral. Then I'm going to come in with a sponge dauber, and in those lighter areas add some yellow and see how that looks. Actually, I really like that. So I'm just going to stamp off, make sure that's clean because I don't want to contaminate my ink pad. So what I did was just repeat. Calypso coral, mango melody on a dauber, and on those sort of lighter areas I'm adding the yellow. And there we go, and that's sort of got those lovely pink and yellow tones coming in. So I'm going to do the same with my small peaches. So I've inked them up in calypso coral, and I'm going to add that yellow in there as well. So those all then match up really nicely. Quick clean on my chamois, do the same again. And the beauty of using this sponge dauber is that, you know, you just get lots of lovely different effects. Yeah, those definitely remind me of nectarines actually. I love a nectarine. But over here, I mean, it's the problem with importing so much stuff. You know, you get them and they're hard as bullets and you think, oh, I'll leave them a day or so, and you go back to them and lo and behold, they're like overripe. So I'm going to use my Have a Peachy Day, or Sweet as a Peach actually, that's the one I've got on my block, and I'm just going to ink that up in this one with, because I've used a darker colour, I'm going to use the early espresso on that. And the beauty is, if you haven't got it straight, it's okay because you can actually angle your peach to create it instead. One thing I haven't done is I haven't stamped my leaf, but I have in my little pouch. What a surprise! Here's some I prepared earlier. Blue Peter moment for those of you in the UK. You will know what I mean. So there's a leaf ready, and I can just go in and die cut those now. Did I say I really like those peaches? Oh dear. It's obviously hot. The temperature's getting to me. I'm going a little bit mad. So what I will do though is I'm going to just cut apart these because what I do, I like to get the most out of my cardstock. Those of you who know me, I wouldn't say I'm a frugal crafter, but I like to get value. But what I don't want to do is damage my dies. So I can stamp close together, and then if you cut them apart, you can then get the spacing in between them. As I say, certainly, you know, we spend a lot of money on these dies. We want them to last, and what you don't want to do is either A, spend all day, you know, cranking a die cutting machine to get your items cut, but you don't want to damage them either, so by having them overlap. So if you just cut them apart, you'll find they will go through. So these ones, you just get one each of the peach and the little triple peach die, but obviously that cuts out all three all in one go, so you get a really easy cutting out in bulk. So I'll just repeat that one again. So again, just when you line them up, just make sure that you're kind of not seeing too much white around any of them. They just kind of hug them. There we go. And that can pop through. And again, when you're using them, always make sure that your dies don't go over those black lines as well, because that way it'll feed through really easily. So don't overload it, and if you're ever struggling, just take it out, don't force it. So there's my lovely little peaches. Okay, so So I think we're ready to kind of crack on with the construction now. So now you need to take your card that you've scored previously and just reinforce those score lines. And one thing I didn't do earlier, which I will do now, is you want to either score or just mark at 3.5 centimetres. So about, it's actually about 10.5 on the one edge. So this is the where you've scored at 3.5 and 7. Just mark at 10.5 as well, because you want to just cut from that mark down to the score line on each side, and you want to cut that piece away. So I'm just going to come, and I'm just coming just slightly to the inside of that score line. Then once you've done that, you're going to just cut up each of those those scores. And what's going to happen is you're going to fold this up to make our box. So you're going to sandwich that middle section, these two here, between the two outer ones. So to help me with that, I'm just going to trim about halfway on each of those. Not too small, don't make it difficult for yourself. They don't have to be tiny tabs, but it just makes it a little bit easier. And if you want to notch out as well, it's not essential in this because it's quite a small box, but it just helps to fit it together. While it's flat, take your corner rounder and just corner round those top two corners. So with the corner rounder, make sure it's nice and square in there. It's probably ought to do it on your desk because that would actually make it easier. And while we're here, we're also going to put our DSP layers together as well. In fact, no, I'll do those afterwards, thinking about it. Okay, so this one's going in the middle. So you want to put glue on these back two panels. So I'm using Seal Plus, just make that nice and easy. I'm putting up against the edge and again on the one tab. So that's going to go on the inside, and then on this front one, that's where you're going to put again some seal. So I'll just show you that to show you the positioning of the glue. So on the tabs at the front, you're putting it on the inside. You're cutting the middle ones shorter, and on the tabs on the long edge, you're folding them in and putting the glue. And then all you do is you're going to fold up and fold up, because you're folding up against that nice straight edge that you've got, and then do the same with the side. So by keeping these nice and square, it just makes life easier. So there's our basic little box. So we can pop our layers together. Narrow layers, so I am using a bit of Tombow, gives me a bit of wiggly room to get those nicely centred. And the only thing I would caution with using these dots is once you've decided which way your dots are going to go, make sure you keep them all running in the same orientation when you add them. Okay, I think I've cut my layer a little bit small. Oh, don't know what I've done on that one. I must have cut it at 3 on one edge. Okay, so that's easily remedied because I can just quickly cut another little square. So what I found there was one of the edges, I'd obviously cut it at 3 centimetres instead of 3.3. So I'm just going to quickly cut myself another square at 3.3 by 3.3, which I've managed to not cut square actually. Bigger bit of card required. When I'm cutting small amounts, always a good idea to cut from a bigger piece and to cut it small. Otherwise you're going to have all sorts of problems. So I'm going to cut it on the right actually, it will make life easier. cut upwards because that helps keep it in place as well. Have I just done the same again? No, that's fine. Okay, I do believe I've actually got it. So add a little, let's just check before I add any more glue. Of course it could be the, oh, it's fine. It could be the DSP I've perhaps cut not quite at 3 by 3. So just add some glue. There we go, that narrow border. Okay, so I can add those onto the front. So you see I've kind of got my straight lines going across the width of it, so I'll do the same with my sides just to get that continuity around. And obviously you could put those on before you create your box if you wanted to. If it's your first time making your box, I would say add them on afterwards, just in case you go wrong with your box. You haven't wasted all your cardstock. So there's our little box. Now it's time to decorate. So I'm just going to pop my branches in first, and I'm kind of making sure that those go down into the box but just peek over the side slightly. So just a little bit of glue on those, but not quite to the top because those are going to poke over the edge. So I'm putting that leaf there, and then with the next one you could actually you can just glue it over the top. You could trim it away if you wanted, but by doing it this way it all adds a bit of structure. But I'm kind of coming down into the box so that when I put my Ferrero in there, they will stand proud. They will cover the bottom of those stalks. That's what I meant. Stand proud. Good. Right, so on to the next bit. So what I'm doing now is shaping my peaches. So all I'm going to do is just come in and add a bit of dimension to those. You don't have to do this. You can leave them flat if you want to. I just think it makes them look a little bit more realistic. And by going, all I'm using is the lidded end of my Take Your Pick tool, the putty end, and just adding a bit of pressure, and then that stretches them so when you press them you just get a bit of shaping going on. A bit of glue on my finger. There you go. And then I'm going to use some mini dimensionals, just one in each of the centre of those. A bit like shaping flowers. Obviously you could do this with the flower one of these. And I'm going to just shape my Sweet as a Peach with my bone folder, and then use a large dimensional in there. Oh, I've got two. There you go. Large dimensional, and add the leaf onto the top as well. So I'm actually going to have it coming off the other side this time. So add a bit of glue to the bottom, and then I'm just going to pop my leaf on there. Pop that to one side. And then I just need to add my peaches in wherever you fancy. So I'm tending just to pop those in. I'm going to pop another one in there, and then another one just in the centre. In fact, I could even add my last little peach in there. I'll have all 6 of them. Although no, 5. 5's fine. Odd numbers. So all that remains is to pop my Ferrero in there, to add my peach to the front, and as I said, Just remember, if you're a little bit squiffy on your stamping, it doesn't matter on the peach because you can correct it. And there we have a pair of Sweet as a Peach double Ferrero treat boxes ready to gift. Thanks for watching. Come back and see me again soon. Hit the subscribe button if you want to know when I set another video out. And if you'd like to purchase from me, you'll find the links in the description bar below, or on my blog. I'd be delighted if you chose me as your demonstrator. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.